Welcome to the Simply Trade Roundup. My name's Annik. I'll be your host today, and I am with two incredible young entrepreneurs, Chen and Sean. Welcome. Hi. How are you guys?
Thank you. Good. Lovely to be here. Yeah.
I am so happy to have you guys here. So I think this is the young, not to discriminate anyone, but we all have an age, but this is the youngest crowd I have. So we're all in our 20s here. And this is incredible. And I'm sure we're going to have a great conversation because these two are doing amazing things. First off, I want to get into how you guys met because you guys developed or are co-founders of GingerControl, a team that's fusing trade compliance smarts with AI tech to basically save businesses real money without crossing any lines, kind of getting that from the webpage. So I want to get into your story and then get into some, crazy trade stuff. So let's discuss, how did you guys meet? Everyone needs to know.
Yeah. Sean, do you want to take the floor or do you want me to go ahead?
Basically, we met back in high school. I got to New Zealand when I was like 12, and then I basically started to hang out with friends around, and we weren't in the same high school, but one of our common friends introduced us, and we got along super well because I'm a bit of an introvert myself. He's very much an extrovert. And
That's
so when
false, but yeah.
No, but he would just take care of me back in high school. So we just became really good friends. We've known each other for probably 13 years now. So it's been really fun. So
you agree with this story?
Yeah, I mean, like, I wouldn't say I'm an extrovert, but I think, like, when you meet someone and the vibes are on, it's just flows naturally. And Sean is a good guy and is very smart as well.
Yeah,
Makes everything.
I mean, you both are.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
thank you.
So I want to get into it because, well, it's interesting. We in this industry, I think the trade industry is a pretty old industry. I don't want to say that everyone is old, but it's just very old school. I think you guys have highlighted that on your journeys as well, or Chen, I've seen it on yours. Kind of, there's a lot of paperwork, not much automation. People are just not using their time efficiently just yet. The trade world is kind of behind on it, or could I say maybe the United States a little bit, just because we see the other side of the world and they're doing things a little bit differently. I think I'm subtweeting China right now, just because I've heard people going to China and they come back saying, whoa, this place is like, we live in, the ages. Like, it's crazy. So kind of want to get into that. So what made you guys step into trade?
Yeah, well, not to say that we have decades of experience, but we're both quite geopolitical. We like to keep up with the news, know what's going on. Sean more so than me. And maybe around like 6 months ago, we just found this field quite interesting, especially with the tariffs going on. And as we talk to more people, such as friends in import-export, we notice that it's a lot of manual processes and it's not optimized to what it could be. We dove even more deeper, and got to a point where I was like, you know what, I'm going to go to the States and talk to people directly in person. Hence why I was at ICPA. And yeah, I was just simply amazed by, to be honest, the lack of innovation and the lack of tech and the lack of right tools for the people that's, on the ground actually doing the work. And yeah, it's, the comment about how there's not enough youth. I think there's quite a barrier to this field as well. Like, one of my observations at least was, first of all, to be a customs broker, you have to pass an exam. And that exam is quite hard. It's like on par with the bar and the MCAT, right? So barrier entry is hard. And I didn't even know what a customs broker was a year ago until I had to dive deeper. So it kind of feels like it's gatekept from everyone. And hence probably why it's not so much, so popular with our community at least. Yeah. Not sure if that answers the questions. Just thoughts from the top of my head. Sean, if you want to jump in, feel free to as well. So yeah,
I think I agree. I was very interested in this whole geopolitical situation around the world, and I think I was a mean beneficiary of globalization. Like being able to live in many different countries, experience cultures, that was great. But I also came to realize that, as the world starts to shift more towards the populism and less globalization, that means there's going to be more trade frictions. So I thought that's going to be a interesting problem to tackle on. I'm more of a technical guy. I like to play with numbers. So when I saw tariff, it got me pretty excited. I started to read about these tariff schedules and then thinking about like, can I make some technologies around these? And Chen was the only guy that I knew who has some experiences with like trade compliance. So I just reached out to him. And yeah, that's how we got into the field.
Yeah, tariffs. That's a big word. And I love that you said tariffs got me excited
I
because
was
a lot of
like,
people will hate you right now.
yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what? But maybe people are struggling with tariffs right now. They should reach out to someone that says tariffs are exciting because if you feel like they're exciting, you might be able to solve something. And that's kind of the next question I'm getting into because so there's a lot of tools and vendors in trade, right? Trying
Mm.
to help get rid of these tariffs or navigate these tariffs, like trying to go around them because sometimes if you have a certain supply chain you might not get out of these tariffs. I mean, they're there, you have to pay them, and some businesses are not able to, right? So what gap did you feel nobody was solving that you pushed to start GingerControl? Sorry,
Yeah.
Ginger
I
Tool, GingerControl. I think it's the same thing, but sorry about that.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a great question. I think like I can start with my parts. Chen can fill in later.
Mm.
But basically, because I was really excited about tariff, I was reading about it every day. But what I came to realize is, like, as I'm trying to catch up with all of the existing knowledges, there's new rules that comes in almost like every single week. There's a new change by the White House or like the Federal Register, and I just can't keep up. And I was trying to look for, tools that helps me to keep up. And there were some newsletters and they were great, but I think they were a bit more verbose than what I would like it to be. So the first product that I decided to make was a tariff briefing tool. And right now there's 40 enterprises who subscribe to it. Basically, it's a tool that helps people to get the actionable advice, such as what HTS codes are getting affected and how much tariffs are being changed. And this is how much financial impact that's going to cause to your company. And starting from that, we were like, there's a lot more things in this industry. We talked to a lot of people and we came to realize that there's a lot of manual work that right now people are relying on some of these legacy softwares to perform. And we came to realize that there's opportunity to simplify some of these process so that people could spend more time on more intellectual decisions, such as scenario analysis or planning for the next year. We wanted to essentially liberate people from doing these manual work that's essentially burning everybody out and giving them more intellectual time to think about those future plannings. So that's how we decided to start GingerControl. And I guess like we all struggle with the name GingerControl, but like I was chatting with Chen the other day. We decided to name it that way because Trump, like on the sort of popular TikTok meme, is often referred to as the Ginger Man. That's why we call it GingerControl. We wanted to control the Ginger Man. I don't know if anybody will ever get the joke,
I
but
actually love that. Wow. You know what? Smart. I'm sorry. No, I love the name GingerControl. I don't know why I wanted to say Ginger Tool. It is a tool, right? I mean,
it is a team. It is a team.
just
So.
yeah. And Chen, you talked to a lot of people at ICPA, and I'm sure you did some research. I mean, you both did, right? But when you talked to people, what was the biggest thing they were struggling with, or some misconceptions?
I think taking more sort of like a tech perspective, like, to add on to my point earlier, how this field is kind of gatekept or it's not common knowledge. I don't think there's enough reliable tools in this field, hence why Ginger Control exists. Um, like just from a enterprise example, a lot of the ERP systems like SAP or Oracle, from the volatility of the tariffs, they aren't performing as they should because they simply weren't built to handle the volatility of things such as Section 301 or the 232 tariffs. When your system is hard coded for like a 2.5 HTS rate and the reality is 25%, like your margin of error doesn't just shrink; it high key evaporates. That's one point. Second point, from trying out a lot of other tech tools and all the players right now in the field, and not to use jargon from another field, but vibe coding, I'm not sure if you've heard of the term, is quite a big thing right now. Essentially what it means is using AI to code a lot of the functions that you use today. And the problem with that is a lot of people lack the foundational knowledge of actually coding a correct tool. understanding the proper data architecture, how to build a quality system from the ground up. Um, it's not something that's, I hope to see it more often, but it just wasn't the case. So, the lack of good quality innovation exists in the field. So, yeah.
And I have a controversial question. Do you think that this is your tool is the way it is because you guys are young? And oh, this is so bad. I hate asking this question, but truly it is true because you're young. You grew up with AI the way you did. In older generations, they didn't grow up with this stuff, so they have to learn it differently than you guys do because you guys it's just placed in your hands. Like, this is what you're working with. The people that are coming after us, I mean, they're not going to know what Google is really. I mean, in the way they're going to ask ChatGPT, or they're going to ask an AI, or they're going to ask an AI and just they will let it figure it out, And while we're still, I mean, especially in the trade industry, some of them don't even use AI at all. I mean, it's right in front of us, right?
Mm.
So if you guys are thinking about this, do you think that's why this tool came, I wouldn't say easy, but just quicker and more natural,
Hmm.
maybe?
I think that's a great question. So I started to work on AI since 2019, and I was really interested in
Wow, that's a
researching
long
AI.
time.
Yeah, I was really interested in the intersection between AI and brain science. And so we used to work with people from all over the different age groups, and we came to realize that people across different age groups have different user behaviors. And I think that is exactly why we exist right now, because we both understand what the frontier AI should do, and also how can we shape it in such a way that anybody across any age group should find it intuitive. And I think that's also why we are pretty excited about the future, because if we do this right, if we keep on doing this, then as the next generation of younger people come into the industry, our tool shouldn't feel outdated to them as well. So that's what we're hoping for. And yeah, I guess that might be an advantage of being young, but obviously there's a lot that we should learn. So
No, that, I mean, we have to learn every day, right? If we don't learn, I think life is kind of over for you. Okay. When I'm thinking, we're talking how hard it is to get into the industry and to stay competitive. What are you guys doing to connect with, companies that would benefit from your product?
Yeah. Well, my whole kind of approach going into this wasn't necessarily to build a product. It was more so to understand what's actually happening. Going to, boots on the ground, talking to everyone, as much people as I possibly can, and understanding whether or not there's a pattern of, mm, there's a pattern of people struggling with the given environment. And, I wouldn't say there's a specific method we use to keep in touch with everyone, but, it's just more so contributing to the community, helping people understand more about the tariffs, building ways for people to easily access these tools. And really, it's just about building proper relationships, I think. Like, actually understanding the person in front of you, what they're going through, what they're suffering through, and perhaps having the luxury to give them a proposed solution. I don't care if you're an alien or enterprise or a 5-year-old. If you're struggling in this field, I love to understand what's happening and then see what we can do.
Is there any pushback on you guys just because you guys are so young and it's a small startup?
You know what? When I went to my first event, which was the ICPA event, I was quite surprised how there wasn't as many youthful people in this industry, which probably goes to show the current state of it. Yeah, I mean, I don't
Yeah.
want to discriminate or anything.
You're
But
not.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
very true. Yeah. And that is what the industry needs. And then at ICPA, they talk so much about it. They're saying we want there to be people that come into this industry intentionally.
yeah. I've heard a lot how people usually just fall into this field, and
Yeah.
we try and change status quo. I think this is a field that is very important. Like, compliance is very important, especially with the current volatility. So, yeah, I agree as well.
Okay. Now, I asked you about, getting pushback on your age and a startup, whatever. Is there a pushback on the human judgment on AI? Because that's a whole nother factor, right? You can be young and bring a product to someone and they're like, no, you're too young. But if they accept you, they could also say, don't believe in AI, you know? So do you guys get that judgment a lot?
yeah, that's a great question. Honestly, like I think we are quite lucky. The people that we work with tends to be quite innovative, and a lot of them are actually asking us for this and that feature and asking whether these could actually be simplified by AI. So we've seen quite a lot of skepticism around on the internet, and we've definitely seen people commenting on Reddit or other forums about how certain tools are just AI slops. And we watch them very closely to make sure we don't make the same mistakes. And we make sure that our AI is compliant, reliable, and doesn't make up anything. So anything is safe, needs to have a reference, needs to have a ground truth. So it actually helps people to write these auditing reports or to show that they've done reasonable care. And therefore, we've been quite lucky. The people we work with tends to be quite acceptive to our tools so far.
What about competitors? How are you guys feeling you're managing that sector? Because I think there is a lot of AI startups now. I mean, they're coming up, right? Because they're trying to fix a problem. How are you guys navigating those issues?
Yeah. I think that's again that's a really interesting question because we don't want to think too much about like who's competing with us, but what we do is we want to talk to our customers and talk to our partners as much as possible. That's what we think is the most important. And that's what we've been doing. So we come from a slightly different angle. I know I like to play with numbers and technology, but one thing I try to do a lot is also to just like try to speak to our partners and try to understand whether this needs to be there needs to be a technology for this solution or not. Like if it doesn't need to be, then we don't force a solution on them. And I think that's one thing that differentiates us from our competitor. And we talked about the CBLA exam. 2 weeks ago we trained an AI to sit through the exam, and we got a 96.3%, which passed the exam. So I think that there are a lot of promising things, and we haven't seen any of the competitors getting higher marks than us. Although a lot of them also sat through the exam. So
That's
we think
awesome.
it's a good thing. Yeah.
And okay, we're reaching a little bit of the end, but where did you see where do you want to see the industry in the near future? Let's just say let's do near soon, like within this year. Where would you like to see it by the end of 2026?
Yeah, I mean, I was just talking to an importer like a week ago, and it just to kind of give you the state of some people. He was importing. He's a big apparel importer. I think last year he imported around 3.5 million units. And then when I asked him, how do you have a compliance team? Like, who's in charge of all this? He's like, oh, it's himself. He is the sole person in charge of compliance. I'm like, how do you, what? I just simply couldn't believe it. And I was talking to one of my advisors, and, we both think that maybe the tariff volatility is a good thing because it's giving people the idea, you need to move trade compliance from the basement into the boardroom. Like it's a intentional decision now rather than like a thing at the back of your head. And, going forward, I can't predict the future, but I think it is in the best interest for companies to actually start to look at the compliance system, understanding whether or not, it's not just, this past CBP, this is good. No, you actually have to audit your systems, identify, vet your HTS codes, and set up a proper systems that actually grow with the future. And yeah, essentially, I just don't think there's enough people actually paying attention to compliance. So perhaps with everything going on, this could be a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that answer. What about you, Sean? For let's just say within 5 years, where do you see the industry and maybe your company as well?
I think like companies right now are trying to be more compliant, and a lot of them are trying to find ways to see what they can do with their tariffs. And I think that is sort of a hair on fire problem for a lot of our partners, and we want to be able to help them. And we want to be able to see the industry as a whole to perform as well. So that's where I want the industry to be in 5 years. And for our company, we want to be the best in the industry in terms of customer experience. That's the only thing we want to optimize for. And we want people who work with us who could essentially just give us, trust us with a one-stop solution, and they don't have to worry about compliance anymore. That's our end goal.
Yeah. And one last question. So we're talking about your success, but what does success look like for your clients? Is there a certain percent of duty saved, fewer surprises, or something else? Like, what are they looking for right now from you guys?
So we tend to be able to save on average, our clients anywhere between 5 to 8% of their tariffs. And we do so by essentially searching through thousands and probably millions of tags to find compliant ways around these things. And that's something that our partners tend to appreciate. We think that over time we could even help them to do these more frequently, and also to do it for a wider audience. And yeah, those are what I would think is successful.
That's amazing. And Sean, are we going to see you at other conferences this year? Because I know you went to
Definitely.
ICPA, and Chen, you too, because I know that's who I saw at the recent ICPA conference.
Mhm.
But Sean, you weren't there, right?
Yeah, I was I was coding at home, but yes, definitely gonna be at more
Okay.
conferences this year.
Yeah. Which ones? Do you guys know already?
We are gonna be at ICPA in March the 1st. And then we're gonna be at a few other sort of important conferences as well. So
That's awesome. I'm sure you keep, working on your product, and if you're able to present it to some companies at ICPA, I hope that you get something out of it. Well, that kind of sends us to the end of the episode. But I have a fun question to ask you guys. So
Mhm.
I was just going through a lot of I was just doing some research, and I came across this page, and the way they introduced their people was by asking them a question. So I do want to ask this for you guys. It's a very easy question. And you can have a silly answer. You can also have a very serious answer. It doesn't matter. But if you were a shipping container, where would you like to be routed to and why?
Oh, shipping container.
wow.
The
Should I
shipping
get my
container.
answer first?
Yeah, you know what? I'd love to hear your answer. What do you have to
Well,
say?
the funny thing is, it's the same answer that this one provided on online, because I was like, wow, okay, that's a good one. It's the Mediterranean, to see like the coastline of, Spain, Italy, Greece. I love Greece, so I feel like that would be on par for me. But your guys' this might be different.
Yeah, I think mine might be a little cynical. I think if I was a shipping container, I want to go to a place, first of all, to travel as much as possible, see as many countries as I can, and then I hope that the port or the place I end up at, I don't get searched, so people don't open me. Okay, I don't know if that's kind of appropriate, but go into me and then check what's inside. So probably the place that's most friendly as well. I wouldn't want to be violated like that. But yeah, that would be my personal answer.
Okay, love it.
Yeah. I think I want to be in Africa. Like I haven't been there before, and I just want to be shipped there. And I
Love
heard
it.
there's a lot of different coasts. So yeah.
Okay, those are all great answers. I think we're all trying to see the world, and I think that is fair. And you know what? I feel like if you're well-rounded like this, I'm sure your product will be well-rounded as well. I don't know. I feel like if you are someone that praises that and lives it, I think you put everything into your product. I don't know. That's just the way I view it. But I had a great conversation with you guys, and I think it's so motivating, especially with people that might be younger listening to the podcast and trying to get through and having a hard time. And also for the people that are experienced in the industry, right? To listen to a younger generation coming through and wanting change, and and clearly practicing the change as well. So thank you so much, you guys, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. To the listeners, have a great week. Now we're back on schedule, because last week was a little weird with our posting schedule, just because we had the trade guys on, so they took over my segment. But yeah, we'll be back next Monday. So have a great week, and bye.
Thank you. See ya.
Thank you for having us. Bye.